Today we're diving into UFC Paris. Renato Moicano is looking to spoil the hometown fight of Benoit Saint Denis. This is going to be an all-out war. You have a relentless aggression versus somebody who could take it all and still come back to bring it later. That's Moicano that I'm talking about. So we have a lot of fun fights that we need to break down. 2 weeks removed from the massive life-changing Sphere event, and let's see what the UFC has to offer to show us that we've taken it to the next level of combat sports. Folks, breaking it down with me, as always, is my co-host, the Santa Fe Bomber, the New Mexico native, AJ. I said it, life-changing stuff just happened a couple weeks ago at the Sphere, but we're not there anymore, and we need to ascend to new heights. How are you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling good, brother. You're right, Derek. Life-changing, heartbreaking for some, but you know what they say, man. All eyes to the future right here. Looking to move forward, looking to make y'all some money, so I'm excited to be right back here in this seat, brother.
Speaking of the future, Benoit Saint Denis, yeah, you dropped the last one to the diamond, right? But that's neither here nor there. What's important is that we do believe we have a new face of the French fighting committee, I should say. Given that he has another hometown fight right here against Renato Moicano, the stakes gotta be high. Do you see him being the face of the UFC here? Give it the next couple of years?
Ooh, that's a good question, Derek. The face, something tells me that there's still other people out there that the Dana White money machine is pushing a little bit more towards. Face is a little extreme, but I could see him being the face of French MMA at least.
Well, that's one of the things that we're going to be breaking down here a little bit later in the show. But before we jump into that, of course, we do need to do a record recap for what took place at the UFC 306 at the Sphere. So bringing up the big screen, folks, you see some gold, you see some red. This is the breakdown right here for you. Consensus picks, we had 4 of them. We went 2 and 2. Zell Huber, who I felt like was the parlay lock for everybody across the board. Yeah, it was a rough night at the office. Just to give me an overall takeaway from what we're seeing right here from the bet sheet, AJ.
This was a good example, Derek, because a lot of the pay-per-view fights we see, more often than not, it's chalk across the board. This is a good example of how things can be different in these big fights, right? It's a big show. It's big people coming up. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. You either show up or you get shipped out, and man, this was an interesting one to see and a good learning process for those bettors out there.
I'll tell you something that was chalk. It was chalk in my eyes. It wasn't on the book, so that's where we get the money at. But Norman Dumont by points at plus 120. I wish I could make that bet every single time. With that being said, we're not looking at the past. We're moving on to the future. So that was your record recap. We hold ourselves accountable right here. But folks, we got some stuff to talk about. So let's go ahead. And AJ, you know I'm going to go ahead and cue the music, baby. UFC Paris. Let's talk about it. We got 4 consensus picks, another back-to-back 4 consensus picks right here. And as always, AJ, give us our theme of what we're rocking with at UFC Paris.
The theme this week, Derek, is speed, right? Speed, aggression, and absolute domination. I think all 4 of these fighters are going for that.
I mean, now that you say it that way, when I look at the names, I think you're 100% right on that. Like, you're always on par, but that was on the nose right there. I love that. All right, cool. Folks, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I will say we did break over 100 victories on the year. That just means we're getting closer towards the end of the year, which will determine who gets did I turn the wrong way? No, it's right behind me. Who gets a new shiny belt? You know what I'm saying? We both want it. AJ, let's go ahead. Let's stop wasting time. Let's jump into these prop locks right here. You start first with yours, man. You got a very interesting one on an over. Talk to the people.
Prop lock, I'm going Klein versus Roberts right here, over 2.5, right? It's plus money, but I think both of these fighters right here, both Klein and Roosevelt Roberts, they're gamers, right? They're going to be trying to show out on each other, going to be trying to set up some traps. So I see a very chess match style of fight going on. Unless somebody gets starched, that over 2.5 makes sense to me.
Just because this is a prelim fight and we might not have time to cover it, just talk to me really quickly from the eyes of the person watching this who says, but Ludwig Klein is a minus 1,000 favorite, brother. We're going to go to a decision. You're a minus 1,000 favorite. Talk to them.
Absolutely. It looks crazy, right? And if you go look at Roosevelt Roberts' fights, you see the same thing, right? He's down to game, he's down to go, and then something happens, he gets starched. But let me tell you, man, this guy is a gamer, and he is a dog, and he's going to be there until the end, or until Ludwig Klein actually starches him. That's the kind of fight we're going in, and the mindset of both of these guys and the styles that they both have lend towards each other to be that kind of chess match style where it's going to be a back and a forth, a tit for tat. I don't want to see a point fight very much so as like a slug out brawl, but this will be a lot more akin to that point style of fight.
Fair play. All right. Well, I'm going to rock with my prop lock right here. We got the Pirate Morgan Charriere versus Gabriel Miranda. I'm going under 1.5 rounds on this one, folks. After watching some film study, you see Morgan, he's a major favorite right here. Charriere, he's a major favorite. It's similar. He's like minus 700, minus 800, something crazy. That's not the reason that I'm picking under 1.5. I'm picking under 1.5 because Gabriel Miranda is down to scrap. And what happens when he scraps? One unfortunate thing. The hands start flying, but that chin goes sky high. And if the Pirate, if he catches him, it might be an early night. So plus 135, we're taking a long shot, a flyer, but I'm off of a 1-fight win streak, if you want to say here, and I'm looking to increase it. So AJ, well, now we got a couple parlays, and then we'll jump into the actual good stuff right here. So for the parlays, first one, I need to talk about that. Brendan Allen, Matt Frivola, steamroll a parlay right here, man. You got two dogs who this could pay out fat, plus 488. But talk to the people.
Absolutely, Derek. Like you said, two dogs. Both of these guys kind of overlooked, right? Underappreciated, but in arguably very favorable matchups that we'll cover a bit later on. Stylistically, I think both of these guys hold the advantage. And like you said, man, plus 488. This one pays fat if both these hit.
Sure does. I like this other one too right here. So you got Joe Anderson Brito money line, pretty chalky, minus 310. But then you also got Nora Cornoli, apologies if I butcher that name, versus Jacqueline Cavalcanti, over 2.5 rounds. Put them together. You got minus money, but minus 143 for two pretty realistic outcomes. I like the spread right there. AJ, my thought process on this one is Cavalcanti, she is a technician. She's a sharpshooter, right? So she's going to pick away for 3 rounds like she did in her last fight against Josiane Nunez. Cornol is looking to smash, right? So it's going to be a matter of like, yo, can she survive? This is women's MMA, just something to take into consideration. But I think it's an interesting play. Do you got any take on that one?
Yeah, Derek, I'm excited for this parlay right here. I'm with you. Brito's chalk. I'm actually, man, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, I should say. But I got more coming up with that Cornoli versus Cavalcanti fight, man. This is going to be a lot of fun.
All right, folks, and then just kind of like to round it out right here, two consensus or conflicting picks that we have right here. I'm rolling with Nasruddin Imavov in the fight that you have versus Brendan Allen, and then coincidentally enough, right here, I'm going with the Smile Killer Fereziam versus Steamroller Matt Frivola. So we're on opposite ends. We don't need to talk about it too much, but just letting the people know, 4 consensus picks, 2 deferring ones, and with that being said, let's break down some fights, baby. Let's get it.
Here's to another main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
All right, folks. So, of course, if you are new to this program, let me just give you a quick breakdown of what we're about to do. We're going to break down the entire main card, all 6 fights. We're going to start with the main event, work our way all the way down, give you a couple bonus plays after, and then we got some sleepers. We got a bunch of fun stuff coming up. So, just know, if you took the screenshot of the picks and you want to run to the sports book, not a problem, but we encourage you to stick around because that's where all the additional value is at. That's the reason, the context, why. You don't just blindly copy people's picks. You can for us if you want to make money, but you should know some context too. We got you. All right, AJ, with that being said, you have like a marauder versus a dude who's a little bit better if the fight plays out a little bit further. So Benoit Saint Denis, everything was working against Dustin Poirier, right? You were winning, and then you got a little tired, and then you stopped winning, and you probably have a little bit of a mental PTSD from that. I think you learn from every experience. Do we see the same aggressive warhammer that is Benoit Saint Denis, or do we see a little bit more reserved? He's not all guns blazing all the time, but he needs that killer instinct to me to be effective. What do you think?
I actually think, Derek, we're going to see pretty much the same Benoit Saint Denis that we saw again in the Poirier fight, right? It's hard to break those old habits, and you're right. He is very much the marauder. He's going to try to walk you down, going to try to beat you up. He wants to control that center of the octagon. But, I mean, he's going up against a very, very dangerous and very game opponent that is Moicano. He's an old-time dog, right? So I do think that Benoit Saint Denis is going to have that same kind of style going forward. Maybe a little bit more reserved because this is another 5-round fight, so he's not going to want to have that same experience as he did before. But if you put the training in, you put the work in, you go in, you show up that night, you're feeling good, I think Benoit Saint Denis is going to get back to those old habits, not necessarily kind of shudder away from the fight, because Moicano is also going to bring the fight.
This can play out multiple different ways. Like, I'm not just seeing a knockout on one hand. I'm not seeing just a technical point fight. Like, a submission can happen. This is where all the props really open up for us. So before we jump into all of that, the first thing that we need to jump in, of course, is going to be some of these lines right here. One of the things that we need to take a look at for Moicano versus Saint Denis is that over under 2.5 rounds, plus 125 for the over, surprisingly minus 155 for the under. And AJ, when I read that, I'm seeing that favor Benoit Saint Denis a little bit more than Moicano if we're talking unders. What do you make of that?
Absolutely, Derek. It favors the Benoit Saint Denis a lot more than it does Moicano in this one. If Benoit Saint Denis is able to implement his strategy of just walk you down, beat you up, we've seen Moicano be a little bit chinny. But honestly, Derek, when looking at these numbers, man, I'm a little surprised that the over is the underdog on this one. Like, they're expecting this fight to go under 2.5 rounds. There's a lot of faith going into Saint Denis. I give Moicano a little bit more credit for that one.
I mean, if you look at it, man, though, Saint Denis, he's only been out of the second round once in his last 10 fights, right? So I think that's partially why. If you look at Moicano, it's similar, bro. We look at Moicano, and for whatever reason, reputation aside, I think a lot of us just kind of look at him and be like, oh, yeah, man, he'll kind of take it out to the distance. He'll just kind of be a tough fighter and stick around. But bro, a lot of these fights are finishes, man. You're seeing knockouts. You're seeing a lot of submissions from Moicano, which is what really opens it up. We know Saint Denis, one of his like patented paths to victory is get in your face, land the big shot, but immediately drop down to the hips, level change, and then start to mix it up, right? So I'm curious, Renato Moicano plus 300 for that submission prop looks a lot better than Benoit Saint Denis at plus 435. Are they thinking, oh, guillotine incoming, Darson, some type of front choke incoming to stave off the wrestler? Do you see that in the cards?
100%, Derek. I think Dustin Poirier had like 7 attempts of a guillotine on Benoit Saint Denis. So it seems obvious that that's what's going to happen. And unfortunately, until we see the French MMA style improve, it seems to be they're a lot more heavy on striking and not necessarily the defense or the grappling takedown, anything like that.
It's also surprising to me because Benoit Saint Denis, even though we labeled him rightly so, we just talked about it, he's a marauder, right? He's all aggressive. You're not going to see him be recklessly aggressive, but you're going to see him get caught. Almost in every single fight that you watch, he's going to get touched, but it's the ability to walk through that. And we've seen this with fighters before, man. This isn't the first time that you have that ability. Look at, for an example, this is off the top of my head, so this is like a recent example, but Trevor Peek, for an example, right? You know he's going to get caught. But if you don't put him away, he's going to be there every step of the entire fight. So for Moicano, you mentioned the chinniness a little bit right here. Let's play out these numbers. Moicano opened up as a plus 200 dog, minus 250 for Saint Denis. If we're looking at the current line right now, I'm seeing we have Moicano at plus 235, right? So it's definitely creeping in favor of Benoit Saint Denis. Moicano has notoriously said that he thinks he's better than Benoit Saint Denis in every aspect of the fight. He's just purely a better fighter. If you look at his strength of competition, he's fought a lot of good guys, man. Jalen Turner, Drew Dober, Brad Riddell, RDA, Alexander Hernandez, Jai Herbert, Fiziev, Damir Hadzovic, Jose Aldo. Brother, that's just in the last 10. Can you name me one fighter aside from Dustin Poirier that Benoit Saint Denis fought that is like anywhere comparable to that strength of schedule?
Anywhere comparable? That's a hard one, Derek. No, I mean, the diamond's the only one that comes to name.
All right, well, Moicano has an advantage right here, and it does appear that he's being overlooked in this fight. He has passed to victory aside from the submission, man. Being tough, sticking out, and just using his cardio over the course of a 5-round fight, I definitely think it can go in his favor. But let's just talk to kind of like the final implications. What are the numbers that we're looking at here that are really eye-popping? Because if you're a Saint Denis better, I'm not sure if you're looking at, minus 290 where he's currently sitting right now, and if you're like, that's a ticket price that I'm willing to pay. I'll start there. Is that a ticket price that you're willing to play money line alone?
No, unfortunately not until we see a more well-rounded scope of the fight for Benoit Saint Denis. 290 is a little bit high. Going up against a dog in Moicano as well, man.
Plus 115 TKO for Saint Denis?
That's what I was looking at. That's the prop I'm looking at right there. Plus 125 Saint Denis, 115 for the TKO. Yep. The submission doesn't make sense to me. The decision as well. We've seen him with the gas tank issues, so I'm not too confident in either of those, but I do like that plus 115 money for him.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to me the later the fight goes. If Moicano is able to get a takedown and hold Saint Denis on his back, things are going to get really, really interesting. But there's two plays that I really want to run off of you right here. Either sticking with the plus 115 TKO for Saint Denis, since that's who we're backing, or going that over that we just talked about, plus 125 for over 2.5 rounds. What's the play out of those two?
Oof. Man, something is just telling me in the gut, man. Over 2.5 makes so much sense. Plus a little bit more money for it. So plus 120 versus the plus 115. I'm sticking with it. Over 2.5.
Over 2.5 it is, folks. So, hey, listen, Bloody Water Podcast consensus pick is Benoit Saint Denis. Aggression, tenacity, ability to be well-rounded, and the ability to take the shot and walk through it. We like him for those reasons, right? But if we're making a real play right here, I'm backing you 100% right here, brother. Over 2.5 rounds should be the play for this main event. Of course, if you want to throw Saint Denis in a parlay, feel free, but I think that's the confident pick right there. Any last ones on this one?
Brother, it's going to be a fun fight.
That's going to be a banger right there. All right, folks, with that being said, let's move on to the co-main event. Nassourdine Imavov versus Brendan Allen. AJ, off the bat, Brendan Allen being overlooked, but Nassourdine Imavov is kind of being overlooked even though he's a favorite here too, man. So, hometown fight for Imavov, but Brendan Allen says if I get a victory and I do it in impressive fashion against Imavov, there should be nothing stopping me from fighting for a title. First, what do you make of that statement?
Gotta love people shooting their shot, man. I do think, unfortunately for Brendan Allen, I do think he needs a couple more wins, a couple more things to kind of push him into that limelight. I don't think he's quite there, at least in the eyes of the UFC, or at least in the eyes of the media as well. But I do love seeing him shoot a shot, man.
Brother, 7 wins in a row. What more do you need to do? And how many of those are finishes? This is like, of those 7 wins, I think it's like 5 of them are finishes. What more do you need to do?
Ask Leon Edwards, man. What did he have to do? Like 8, 10, 12? What is I forget the exact number. But for some reason, there's just some people that Uncle Dana doesn't like, and it looks like Brendan Allen's one of them.
Yeah, well, maybe he's following the path of Bilal Muhammad, Merab Dvalishvili, right? Having to fight 10 dudes, beat 10 dudes before you get a title shot. But I definitely think that a win against Imavov puts him in contention of the short list of people that should be fighting for a title, man. We're talking about middleweight right here. Let's not forget who was the champion, Dricus, right? You need fresh blood. Brendan Allen, to me, is fresh blood, but Nassourdine Imavov is fresh blood as well. So let's talk about this, because a lot of people are ruling this one as a very simple grappler versus striker. Grappler being Allen, striker being Imavov. And I would agree to a degree, but Allen can hold his own on his on the feet, and Imavov isn't the easiest guy in the world to take down. So I think that this is actually going to be a matter of who can implement their A game and who can do it over long bouts, not just short stretches. If Brendan Allen takes down Nassourdine Imavov and he does it early, let's just say 2 minutes into the first round, danger level for Imavov, 1 to 10, in your opinion?
First 2 minutes takedown, danger level, I'm saying like an 8, Derek. Very, very dangerous, especially if they're not that sweaty yet, they're not that tired. I see Brendan Allen controlling a lot of this fight with that exact position. Clinch him up, hold him down, get him to the ground, beat him up.
Now, if Imavov, right, is able to avoid a takedown, and let's just say a takedown attempt doesn't come until round 3 of the fight for Brendan Allen, danger level for Brendan Allen, 1 to 10, same scenario.
I'd say about a 4. I give Brendan Allen a lot more credit in the stand-up and in the range control than a lot of the other people out there are. I don't think he's that outmatched in the feet versus the opposite way for Imavov on the ground.
That's fair, and we'll explain that more in just a little bit. But let's talk about these numbers first so everything can kind of line up and make sense. So Imavov opened up as a favorite, minus 190. I was a little surprised at seeing that. But when I take a look at the live odd right now, minus 210 for Imavov, plus 175 for Brendan Allen. So the numbers have definitely swole. If you're looking at the bets path to victory in terms of the odds makers, you're actually looking at a decision for Brendan Allen, which that really struck me as weird. And weird in the sense of if you look at his methodologies, man, when's the last time the man's won a decision? Two decision wins in his last 10 fights, right? So like, all right, that works. And it was Jacob Malkoun and Punahele Soriano. What are the 2 common themes between those fighters is that both of those dudes can wrestle. Imavov isn't like a wrestling dude. He's going to try to keep the fight standing, stay bouncy, right? And just pick away at you until he can break you finally, right? So let's talk about those numbers for Nassourdine Imavov. His best prop is a decision as well, but that seems super likely. The TKO at plus 225. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on that one for Brendan Allen, man. Brendan Allen can get caught. He's a good striker, but striking defense is different from striking offense.
That's exactly what I was about to say. He's able to throw and maintain range at distance, but sometimes he overextends a little bit. So there are moments that he can be caught, and it does worry me because Nassourdine Imavov actually throws heat as well. I like it. I didn't expect it to be a 220, 225 TKO prop form. I was looking at like a, 300, 290 around there. But I mean, this is right in the ballpark, so I guess it makes sense.
I guess the thing that is the big X factor here, why I think these numbers look the way they do, is because Brendan Allen got an impressive victory in his last one against Chris Curtis, right? But it was a split decision in a fight where Chris Curtis tore his hamstring, like in the last round of the fight, right? So it's not like this was like, oh yeah, super impressive, he ran away with it. It was like a lot of people were like, Curtis was right there, and had he not got hurt, we could be looking at Chris Curtis versus Imavov again or something like that, right? So make or break fight for Brendan Allen. And I just want to know, like, realistically, how do you see this fight playing out? Because in my mind, I think it's going to be a lot harder than we think for Brendan Allen to take down Imavov. I think he's a slippery guy, and we're going to see a lot of clinch and cage wrestling.
Yeah, I'm with you, Derek. That's where that's actually where I think a lot of the takedowns are going to come, or at least a lot of the opportunities for the takedowns are going to be in that clinch and going to be in that cage fight, because Nasruddin Imavov, he is very good at maintaining that little bit of distance he can control, and then using his right hand to make you pay for actually taking those entrances. So I think this fight's going to be a lot more akin to get pushed up against a cage, get the control, and then we see where the fight goes to, and whoever's able to do that more consistently, get their fight to the A spot that they want, that's who's going to be the winner of this fight.
That's fair. And if you take a look at some of these numbers right here, this is just Imavov's fights right here. Look at all the times that he's been taken down. So once against Cannonier, you got once against Strickland, once against Shabazian, 4 times against Phil Hawes, and those are like the big things. When you're seeing like the fights that he's lost, man, takedowns definitely are involved right there. Brendan Allen, on the other hand, man, he's a bad man. We know this, right? So this dude rattled off, 6 takedowns versus Chris Curtis, 2 versus Paul Craig. But then you don't always see that that's his go-to, right? Versus Malkoun, he won the fight, but he got taken down 7 times. So it's always just like little oddities right there. My final play right here, ultimately, since this is a contentious pick right here, I got to rock with Imavov, man. I just think that the scoring criteria makes it so that if Brendan Allen gets the takedown, it doesn't matter unless you either finish him, put him in a finishing situation, or you're beating the hell out of him with ground and pound. And Imavov is going to get his strikes off unless the fear of the takedown is too much. So I'm just going to roll on the Imavov side right here. Healthy competition, but give your final vouch for Allen, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one, Derek, because it seems like everything's rolling in the side for both fighters, right? They have both this big momentum push. Everything's going for them. I'm still rocking with Allen, man, and I'm going money line on this one. I can see him winning a decision, but I can also see him finding a way to put Nasruddin Imavov in trouble and then actually working for that. So I'm still rocking Brendan Allen, but I'm going money line.
Since this is a 3-round fight, I'm drooling over this number. Plus 175 decision prop for Nasruddin Imavov. If you're tailing my picks right here, don't take Nasruddin Imavov purely as just like a value bet for the money line, where he is currently sitting at like I said, it was minus 210. Right? Instead, take that plus 175 decision prop. I'm not really seeing the TKO. I think Brendan Allen will be able to fight through that, and submitting Brendan Allen would be super impressive. That's not something that I see in the cards either. So, contentious pick right there. Roll with the dog if you're rolling with AJ and Brendan Allen, or roll with the plus 175 decision prop for Nasruddin Imavov. All right, folks, moving right on along. Let's keep it pushing, AJ. William Gomis versus Joe Anderson Brito. So, this is going to be a really, really interesting fight, but I think there's been a little bit of disrespect that's been taking place in this matchup here, AJ. Minus 275 was the open for Brito, plus 200 decision for William Gomis, who, if you just look at him, is just consistently disrespected by the odds makers and just by people who not book the fights, but the people who just assess the matchups. A lot of people are saying steamroll for Joe Anderson Brito. This is a lock. And anytime you think that, that's when things just get really dangerous and you got to take a step back if money is on the line. Gomis, super technical, fast, has good takedown defense, has all the intangibles that aren't eye-catching and eye-popping and make you be like, I have to tune in. But this is a dude who is very frustrating to bet against because he wins fights. Brito, AJ, give me your assessment. You're talking to a brand new fan, right? A fan who just came out the woodworks, and you're like, yo, you got to check out this dude, Joe Anderson Brito, man. I'm telling you, he's just different. He's balls to the wall, and he just makes exciting fights, even though he lays on his opponents for, half the time or whatever the case may be. What does a Joe Anderson Brito fight look like?
Well, first off, you don't mention that he's laying on him for 2.5 minutes out of the entire or 2.5 minutes out of each round. But either way, Derek, how you look at Joe Anderson Brito, this dude's a wild man, right? He has that pit bull style of attack. He's going to get you. He's going to put pressure on you. He's going to try to maul you. And that's what he's going to look to do to Gomis right here as well. And the best part about it, man, is he has nonetheless the power that he has, but the reckless abandon that he kind of goes into it. This dude's an absolute crazy man going into it. And if you are excited to see that kind of style of fight, you're going to be very excited when you watch a Joe Anderson Brito fight.
And when you look at the stats, right, it's not crazy, but he is landing a takedown in just about every single fight, which makes it really interesting for me because I'm saying, okay, well, let's take a look at William Gomis, right, and let's just see how many takedowns a fight has he given up. Well, aside from no fight, the Fire Marshal fight, right? He got taken down a couple times, still won the fight. Again, it's limited, right? Jarno Aarons, Francis Marshall, and then Giannis Gomori. The strength of schedule hasn't been fantastic, and I think that this is legitimately going to be the toughest test because Joe Anderson Brito brings an athleticism and an aggression that's just hard to fathom, and it's hard to get going in your rhythm if you're a technical striker who relies a lot on the jab. So he needs to pump that jab out. But one thing we know about Joe Anderson Brito is everything is big animations, right? Well, in the last fight that he had against Jack Shore, when he was blasting leg kicks and destroying Jack Shore's leg, everything was still full force. The big turn. What happens when you do the big turn, AJ? You're open, your hands are down, you're leaving yourself vulnerable to attack. And that's where William Gomis, that's where he thrives. I believe his nickname is the Jaguar, if I'm not mistaken. That's neither here nor there. But the point is, I say all of this because William Gomis is a lot more live than I think people think. Brother, talk to me.
Absolutely more live than a lot of people think, Darren. I'm giving him a lot of credit here, or I guess I'm not giving him a lot of credit because everybody's thinking Joe Anderson Brito is going to be that guy, and that's what it's looking like. But, man, Gomis, he has all the intangibles to be able to do the stuff. Not like you said, the jab's on point. Brito does drop his hands when he's throwing those big power kicks. And if Gomis is able to pinpoint those holes, then we're going to see some stars, man. Then we're going to see something going crazy. But one thing I do like most about William Gomis is his clinch, man. He's dangerous in the clinch. And I think what's the height difference on Joe Anderson Brito? Like some 6 inches, 7 inches, something. I forget the exact one. But either way, 4 inches. Still dangerous, and especially when Brito does throw those reckless abandon, right? He's throwing those big shots, those looping shots. He ducks his head a little bit. That's a perfect time for Gomis just to hit that tie clinch and throw some knees up the middle.
5 finishes in a row for William Gomis. 7 finishes in his last 10 fights right here, man. Like, the dude shouldn't be as discounted as he is, and I just don't get it. So, again, Joe Anderson Brito minus 310 favorite as it stands right now. If you're looking at the comeback for William Gomis, you're looking at... What are you looking at? Wow, man, plus 245 for William Gomis. Obviously, Joe Anderson Brito is the pick. Tenacity, again, just like athleticism that breaks people, and if you're not able to overcome it over the course of a 3-round fight, you're going to drown, right? He's going to get up ahead so fast, you're going to have to play makeup, and that's going to be the tough part. But this is a home game for William Gomis, and more important than that right here, bro, is you have, like you had just mentioned, you have that major height advantage, and then it's a 1-inch reach advantage, but you're a southpaw, right? So orthodox southpaw right here. This is going to make it really, really interesting for the southpaw fighter to see how that lead kick, that rear leg, stacks up against Brito. Because if you could knock out the breadbasket, if you could take away from that kind of power source right there, I think you could really hinder Brito. Without the athleticism, I think Brito isn't nearly the fighter as he is with it. It's like a cheat code, but you work for it, so it is what it is. So do we lay any money on the dog for being alive here at William Gomis, or is Brito too much of an animal that you just got to stick with the pick and keep it pushing?
I like the pick, Derek, but I do say, there's always the chance, especially because Joe Anderson Brito gets careless in the way he's throwing his shots. Gomis is a sniper, man. He can hit those shots. And like you said, 5 finishes out of the last 7 fights. This guy can get it done. So I do think there's a little bit of money to hedge right there. I'm not saying hedge it on that plus 650 TKO, although that might be the best way he's going to be able to win this fight. But look at that money line. What'd you say? Plus 245? Man, that sounds good to me if you're looking just to throw a little hedge on it.
Final pick. It's clear. Joe Anderson Brito. I'm not sure if minus 310 is the line that you want to play. I do feel comfortable throwing him in a couple of parlays, but Brito through and through is the pick, correct?
Absolutely, Derek. Like you said, parlays might be the best way to go for him. I like the decision if I'm forced to pick a prop.
All right, say no more. All right, AJ, pushing right on along. Kevin Jousset versus Brian Battle right here, man. This is going to be a fun one in the welterweight division because both of these dudes throw down, but there's a pretty distinct difference between the two. Of course, Brian Battle seems to be surging right now, in my opinion. He's looked better than he ever has. The dude who was picked last on the Ultimate Fighter is just, surging through and through. But this dude, Jousset, apologies, man. This dude's good, man. Good striking, technical striking, willing to slip and rip in the pocket. And that's where I think things are going to get really interesting. So what's your assessment of this?
Yeah, Derek, I'm with you. I like Jousset for the kind of grounded style he has, right? He's able to sit there. He's able to trade. He's able to look good in those moments. He's very durable. And I don't want to say this as a disrespectful thing. He's very fundamental, right? He's very basic. He's good at those fundamentals. But like we said before in the past, man, those are the ways that you work yourself into those spots that get you the highlight reel TKOs. He's going to be, like you said, ripping and slipping in the body. He's very grounded in the way he goes about it. And with a fast and animated style of fighter that Brian Battle is, this is a nice kind of polar opposite mix of two people that are going to clash to try to get to the middle of the cage and dominate each other.
Yeah, man. When you say, I say rooted when I think Jousset, just rooted into the ground, willing to throw more, land a little bit more. It's a limited data set right here, but he does land more significant strikes per, minute than Bryan Battle. What popped off the tape for me is when I was looking at him, even though Battle's going to have the reach advantage right here, it seems like he gets a little hesitant to just start throwing him out there. All of his movements, like his footwork, it's all just kind of micro steps, little mini steps, but it's also like little mini feints and offbeat patterns to where you can't get the reads. Like you said, Jusei, he'll sit there, slip, leg kick, big hook, watch for that check left hook all day long because he's going to be throwing that the entire fight, right? But he's willing to be there. Bryan Battle, in my opinion, is going to not be there when Jusei expects him to be, which will allow him to launch off some of those distance strikes, the big kicks that he lands and all of that good stuff. My main concern right here is really a volume thing more than anything. Is Jusei just going to throw more than Battle? What do you think?
I could see that. The thing that worries me about the Jusei throwing more is because you're sitting in one spot continuously pumping shots out. The guard has to come back. There has to be holes. And if Bryan Battle isn't in that spot you think he is, he's going to be right on the side. He has great movement, great foot speed. He's able to find those exact angles to be able to hit you hard. Man, Bryan Battle, when he hits you, you feel it.
Yeah, I mean, it pops off the page, right? If you're looking at the finishing methodologies for Bryan Battle, bro, this is nasty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 finishes, 7 finishes in his last 10 fights, man. This dude is getting him out of there. So the first thing that I wanted to discuss before anything is just taking a look at that over, man. The over on this one is 2.5, minus 230 for the over, plus 200 for the under. What do you make?
Ooh, plus 200 for the under. Yeah. That's kind of sounding interesting to me, Derek, because it's hard to get either of these guys going backwards, right? Yeah. Both of them want to be that dominant fighter in the middle of the ring. I can see a finish, and you said it's 2.5?
Yeah.
Man, I kind of like the under.
I think it's definitely an interesting one. Here's the thing more than anything, man. I think that Jusei can win this if it's a pure striking affair. I think he can win it. I think he's the superior striker, right? But Bryan Battle poses a different threat that Jusei, I don't know if he'll be able to handle, which is the grappling, man. I think Battle mixes it up, and if he mixes it up, that's where I think we start getting a little bit longer. Maybe a submission comes in. That's one of the things I want to talk about here, but I think that the well-rounded fighter Bryan Battle is going to be able to kind of just switch those levels, man, give you different looks. Now you can't be as rooted because if that takedown is coming, you got to be ready and watching for that. Jusei, though, I will say he does have some good takedown defense on there as well. So when we're looking at just the line overall, man, I just want to make it super clear. If Bryan Battle is the pick right here, you are saying you like the under, but which of these props are we pulling here? Because I think that plus 575 submission has a lot of juice, but plus 145 decision for Bryan Battle just seems like cash money. What do you think?
It does seem like cash money, Derek, and I don't want to be contradictive here because that does make a lot of sense, right? Playing on paper, that makes all sense all day in the world. That's more than likely what you should be putting your money on, folks. But I'm with you. Plus 575 for a fighter who we have seen, or at least haven't had the ability to see how he does in that kind of washing machine style of fight. I think Bryan Battle could get a submission right here. And I like I said, I like the under for exactly those moments that Bryan Battle are going to be able to exploit.
Yeah, you're not seeing, Jusei get submitted a bunch, but I will say the dude has some experience. He's fought some guys, right? But he has fought one guy that is aged very well. He lost the fight, but he did fight Jack Della Maddalena back in 2019, man. So, hey, this ain't the first time. Bryan Battle, on the same hand, man, Bryan Battle's fought a lot of good guys too, man. So, something to think about. But Bryan Battle is the pick right here. And then, yeah, plus 145 for the decision. That's my play on Bryan Battle all day long if you're not taking him at pure money line odds, which let me just ask you before we get out of here. Do you take him at a pure money line odd right now? What is he? Minus 175. Do you just take Bryan Battle minus 175?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think he has multiple ways to win that. I like 175 for him. Not horrible.
I think, yeah, fair ticket price against Jusei. It'll be interesting, but that's the pick. All right. Morgan Charriere versus Gabriel Miranda. I laugh because I'm like, this is going to be a fun fight, but look at that open. Minus 550 open for Morgan. And if you're looking at the line right now, my Lord, yeah, pure. Oh, no, minus 850. Okay, all right, not too bad. Minus 850 against Miranda, who's a wild man, right? Miranda, his nickname is Fly for a reason, and I thought he was being counted out when I first looked at it, but I was like, let me watch some tape and really assess, and then I saw the holes, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Charriere seems, I don't want to say perfect because perfect isn't the word to use, but this dude is talented on every level of mixed martial arts, grappling, striking, the whole entire nine. Miranda, this dude's default is shoot in for a blast double. Hopefully you can get some top control. And if you're not on his back going for a rear naked choke, you're looking to stay on top, land some ground and pound, and just be mean and nasty, right? Can he take down Charriere with that blast double?
Probably once or twice. I do see it happening, just kind of getting caught unexpectedly.
I don't see it. I don't see it in the cards, man. I want to see it so bad, but I'm looking at the dudes that he's fought. For an example, Benoit Saint Denis, right? He tried taking Saint Denis down a bunch of different times. Saint Denis was able to sprawl and brawl a little bit, and that's what I see with Charriere right here. I see the same situation, but you see the last ditch effort for Miranda being the big slugging shots, right? Like the swing and bang shots, chin up in the air, or that blast double trying to force his submission. Last ditch effort that I saw was arm bars and triangles off of his back, right? Like that's the repertoire of Gabriel Miranda from what I see. Now you see a bunch of fancy stuff. If you look at, this dude submits everybody, man. I'm going to go through some of these. Rear naked chokes, guillotine chokes, triangle chokes, arm bar, literally all the stuff that I just named. I didn't look at that. That was just off of tape. You just watch the things that he does, but all of those things he can land. Now, I don't advise being on your back against Charriere right here. I advise trying to have a slugfest and see if you can take him out. But when you have a minus 150 TKO prop for Charriere, he's a minus 800 favorite. There's no value to be placed on this one unless you're betting overs and unders, which let's not forget, prop lock under 1.5 rounds. Let's go. 135 is where it's sitting at right now. Just give me a devil's advocate right here for Gabriel Miranda. Why is this going to be a fun fight?
Man, this is going to be a fun fight because the unpredictable nature that Gabriel Miranda does, that he puts into it, right? Like you said, there are patterns that he has, but this dude's a wild man at heart, right? Let's not forget, he's going to be throwing power, wild strikes at you. And when you're a very technical and very skilled fighter like Charriere is, those are some things you don't see all the time in the gym, man. You're training with like actually skilled individuals who are looking to be that technical fighter. You go in there with a wild man that's just going to put pressure on you all day long. That's when you can get caught slipping, right? You can get caught unexpectedly. Things happen. That's where this Gabriel Miranda is going to be able to thrive in that fight, is in the chaos, right? Landing big power shots, getting the fight to where he needs it to be. He needs to be on the front foot, though. That's the big problem right here.
And we'll see if we can make it happen. AJ, I don't really got much else on this one. I think it should be fun, but Charriere is the clear play. I just don't see any value other than the under 1.5 rounds. That's my prop lock. Do you see anything else? Do you like the over? What do you think?
Ooh, no, I like the prop. I like the prop lock, Derek, under all day long. Submission maybe plus 650, but no, I don't see any real money on there for Charriere besides the under.
All right, fair play. Let's keep it pushing to the last bout of the main card, the Smile Killer Fares Ziam versus the Steamroller. Sorry, man, I got all the love in the world for Imavov. This dude is a guy you would want to hang out with, right? But we're not talking about that. We are talking about a fist fight right here. And I thought this was really interesting. AJ, don't get me wrong. He had a valiant effort against Benoit Saint Denis. Matt Frevola brings it. We know he's got knockout power. You know that if you don't take him out, he's going to be trying to take you out. But to see him open at as a minus 140 favorite just really surprised me when I was looking through the numbers, man. I was like, it doesn't make sense because Ziam is really good. And another one of those guys like Gomis that I think just gets undervalued a little bit. But just give me your thoughts. Given that you're backing the Steamroller on this one, he went from an open as a minus 140 favorite to being a dog now at plus 110, minus 130 for Ziam. So complete line flip. What do you think?
That's what I expected, Derek. I was shocked when he was the favorite going into this one. It feels like Matt Frevola's always getting looked over. He's always on everybody's B list, C list, whatever you want to call it, man. I was expecting him to be the underdog in this one going forward. That's why I was picking for it, man. I was going with the dog on this one. But I do think the numbers align a little bit more towards what you see in paper and the future potential that Ziam has. This dude's a killer, bro. Like, Ziam definitely should get a lot of respect. And I'm excited to see how he's able to build his repertoire because Matt Frevola is going to bring everything and the kitchen sink at him.
Here's the thing, man. Ziam is a downhill fighter, but you have to gather momentum in order to get that speed. And if Frevola does not allow him to get the momentum, I can totally see Frevola winning this fight, man. Get in his face, make it ugly. And rule number one, mix in takedowns at all costs to close that distance. But more important, do not let Ziam snap that jab off on you because the moment that jab starts working, that's the downhill effect that I'm talking about right there. So, yes, I think Ziam should be the rightful favorite right here. I think he does have an issue when it comes down to that takedown defense. He can be held down there. Look at the fight against Claudio Puelles in the last one, right? Puelles is a jiu-jitsu guy. He's not even a wrestler. He was able to just hold him down. But as you see, the longer the fight goes, Ziam is going to keep going. And if you don't hold him down the whole time, What's winning these days, AJ? I'm not saying that I don't like the wrestler style. I'm just saying that what's being scored is damage. So, Favola, hey, if you keep it on the feet, swing and bang, throw the hammers. But really quickly, let's just take a look at the frame right here, because this is the other thing. 4-inch reach advantage, about a 4-inch height advantage on both sides. Ziam is always going to be the tall guy in the lightweight division, man. 6'1" at 155 pounds. It's ridiculous. But more important than that right here is this number that I was talking about, that takedown average, man. I don't know how much Favola is going to try to mix up the takedowns, but I do think that's like a super clear path to disrupting Ziam. Ziam already said, I know this dude's going to be aggressive and relentless early, but I think that I got some tactics that's going to slow him down. What do you think, man? You're back in Favola. What is the path to victory here?
Steamroll, like you said, Derek, all day long, brother. That's why they call it. That's why they named him it, right? A fast twitch fighter that Favola is, I think, is going to keep Ziam guessing, right? Keep him moving, keep the pressure on him, not let, like you said, those long range attacks, that snappy jab come out. Don't let that be a factor in the fight. Put the pressure on him, get up in the middle, get up in the inside, beat the breadbasket, push this fight up against the cage and take him down, beat him up, hold him down. I think that's a steamroll away. And that's going to be an interesting fight, because if Ziam is able to, right, get the respect of Favola, we've seen that have the opposite one, where Favola kind of shudders a little bit. So this is a great opportunity for both fighters. I just see Matt Favola coming in there, classic style, real fast on his feet, working his best advantageous moments for this one. And I see him getting this dub.
One more thing to take a look at, man. Look at these fight odds right here. Over 2.5, minus 140. Interesting. Fight going the distance. Yes, minus 120. Really, really interesting. I had a double take on that one, because to fight to go to the distance, minus 120? Dog, what? I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. If you're a Favola backer, you might be like, I don't know if it goes the distance. But for me, if I'm backing Ziam, and I think that, Ziam's not finishing a lot of dudes out here, man. He's got a couple slick submissions where it could come into play, but listen, man, I just think that the line for this one is all over. If Favola doesn't get him out of there early, I think that there's a lot of money to be made on this fight in general, regardless of who you're picking, but especially if you're Ziam. Just play devil's advocate with me here, man. Plus 250 decision prop for Fares Ziam. What are we thinking?
Also plus 250 for Matt Favola on the decision, Derek. So it looks like both of them are getting a little crazy. But for this Ziam, that the decision makes more sense, at least on that side. I'm with you, because the technical ability that he has and the ability to keep you away with his long strikes, that definitely seems more advantageous. I don't understand the 250 for the Favola side at all.
Wrestling. I'll tell you, man, I was uneasy about this pick. This was not like smash spot Ziam, man. Like, if you discount Matt Favola, that's when you lose. That's when you get knocked out. So this is going to be a lot closer than a lot of people think. But again, a contentious pick. I'm rocking with Ziam for the technical ability. And then when you got pure aggression and takedowns and power for Favola, I mean, just rock with what you got. So, folks, that is your main card breakdown through and through. But we are not done yet. We still got a couple things that we need to do. More importantly, AJ, we got some bonus plays, baby, that we need to talk to the people about. All right, man. Listen, couple of things. Again, here's your warning, folks. This is not guaranteed locks here. These are some interesting bonus plays that I wanted to throw out there. We'll assess them one by one and just see what we like here. First one, we talked about him a couple of fights ago, man, but William Gomis versus Joe Anderson Brito under 2.5 rounds at plus 115. Yes, you have all-out aggression and tenacity by Brito. You have a sharpshooter in William Gomis. And part of me says, well, when you combine those two together, somebody has to crumble. They don't have to, but it would be really fun if they did. So, plus 115 for the under. Do we take a flyer? What do you like about it? You're going to be our arbitrator of truth and justice here, my friend, of making the big bucks. Talk to the people.
I like this one, Derek. I like it a lot. The only thing I can see going wrong with this is control gets a little too much and they get a little too tired, and then it just kind of draws out, and that's where we get the over 2.5. But folks, man, 2 minutes and 30 seconds into the third round, they're more than likely going to finish this fight before that. I like this play a lot.
I think it could be interesting. Something to keep an eye on. We'll do a total review at the end of all of these ones. All right, man. This next one, I don't want to butcher his first name, so let me just pull it up really quickly. There we go. It's Ivan. Iwan Kutalaba versus Ivan Erslan. Erslan making his UFC debut, but this dude just, bro, check the highlight reel. Go on YouTube and check his highlight reel, man. Everyone getting knocked out in the first round. He touches you and people crumble over. Like, it's awesome to see. Over 1.5 round is plus 130 because someone's going to get knocked out. He's going to death touch you. It is what it is. Cutelaba has the death touch power as well, but I have a theory here, and this is my theory. My theory is Ruslan comes out hot. It's his debut. He has something to prove. He wants to beat the Hulk. The Hulk says, oh, man, I know what losses feel like because I went on a rough streak. I know how I need to win this fight. Wrestle. Yes, let's use some of that Greco. Let's use some of that Judo or whatever, and let's get him down here, tiring him out, and then win the fight, ground and pound, whatever. I just think that the initiation of Ion Cutelaba as an experienced UFC veteran with the grappling can allow this to drag on for 7.5 minutes plus, right? So that's my theory. That is my take on over 1.5 rounds. Again, you tell us. Are we rocking with it or are we throwing it out?
I'm with it, Derek, but I should add in the caveat. We hope that Ion Cutelaba has learned from his lessons and learned from his styles, because we've seen him, man. Sometimes you cannot take the marauder out of the fighter, man. This dude loves to brawl. So, yeah. But I will say, to the point of over to 1.5, I like this one a lot because now Ruslan, you're in the UFC, right? You're in the big show, and then you do also have Ion Cutelaba, who has grown a little bit in fighter. Like I said, let's hope he grows a little bit more. I like this, like you said, 7.5 minutes all day long.
Yeah, and when you look at Cutelaba and a lot of losses, a lot of first round losses, second round, yeah, I get it. But I mean, yeah, one can wish. You look at it, man. You're getting towards the end, bro. You have to rack up some dubs here. You have to defend your spot. You're getting a dude on a UFC debut at this point. Let's wrestle, baby. Let's go. I don't know. I'm just saying. All right, bro. Anyways, let's take it back to the bonus plays. All right, man. Juice versus Battle goes to decision, -200. We pretty much just talked about this one, but what are we thinking?
Yeah, I don't like it, Derek. I don't like it. I mean, it makes sense to the odds makers. I can see it happening. Yeah. I expect Bryan Battle to go out there and not necessarily dog walk this dude, but I do think the styles are going to clash. We're going to see some interesting things. I'm not expecting a decision on this one.
Okay, and then one more. Jacqueline Cavalcanti, money line, pure money line, -210 against Nora Cornoli. What do you think?
She won the first fight, Derek, back in, 2021? So, I mean, all odds are pointing towards that being the case. We'll see, though. I mean, Cornoli, man, she is very aggressive, very powerful. I don't know about this one either, Derek. The -200s ain't looking too good, at least on this end of the chair.
I will say it's a little steep. It's a little steep for this point of her career. That's what I'm going to say. But I just think I love the jab. I love popping off the jab. She walked backwards the whole fight, though. That's the hard part, man. You can't, I don't know. But interesting. So, okay, we hit all of these bonus plays. Tell me the one you like the most.
Gomis versus Brito, under 2.5.
All right, that's the one that you guys are rocking with, courtesy of the Bloody Water Podcast. Something to think about. All right, folks, like I said, we had a lot of other fun stuff in store, so in order to save that time, we're jumping straight on over to the unknowns of today with the stars of tomorrow. All the people you're going to want to know about, this coveted sleeper section. Let's get it.
It's time for some fight night.
If you ain't paying attention, you're going to sleep on me and I'm going to wake you up.
All right, folks, like I said, we got some sleepers. We're not going to mince any words. What we're going to do is we're going to break open the big screen. And AJ, I'm going to let you take over, my friend. Talk to the people about the sleeper that we got here today. What do we got?
We've talked about him a couple times in this show already, Derek, and it's for good reason, right? These girls are going to be very exciting. We're going Nora Cornoli versus Jacqueline Cavalcanti. And like I said, man, this one's a rematch that Cavalcanti won in 2021, but there's a lot else that goes into it, right? You got Nora Cornoli, right? An absolute pit bull style. She reminds me very much of a Jessica Andrade, but we need to see if she can get to that kind of level of style of fighter, because when she hits you, she hurts you. And there's going to be interesting to see how the long style, that snappy jab we were talking about of Cavalcanti, is actually able to work when you're getting stuffed up, right? When that's all you can punch now instead of actually being able to pop it. That's where this fight gets interesting. And like I said, man, this one, Cavalcanti won the first, but both fighters have grown in their careers so much since 2021 in a decision fight that was arguably pretty close. So this one's going to be very interesting how it doing. This one excites me as well because we got some new weight or some new blood in the women's 135. Very exciting fight, folks. Do not miss this one.
This is interesting, too, because if you take a look, she won, and it was at 145 pounds, too, right there, man. So something to keep an eye on. Rematch for the ages, huh? All right, folks, my sleeper right here is going to be some common names. If you're a real fan, you know these guys, man. One's newer than the other, but Bolaji Oki versus Chris Duncan. This is going to be a very simple reason why I've listed this one as a sleeper. Pain. Every time these two collide, it's going to be like a car crash. Between these two fighters, they have 14 combined finishes, 12 knockouts, and 2 submissions. Pain. I'm just going to leave it there. Tune in, folks. What are we talking about? Let's go. All right, AJ. With that being said, we are still not done. We gave them the sleepers. We told them what they needed to look out for. But we got some news and some notes that we need to cover. And we got a couple of fun things. One that I want to jump straight into. This is regarding a fighter who's going to be fighting this weekend at UFC Paris. So let's go ahead and talk about what I would call the extracurriculars. So let me go ahead and move that. All right. Yeah, these are the extracurriculars. All right, AJ. So breaking in the news and notes. And here he is. Good old Brendan Allen, all in Brendan Allen. Well, he fought the fighting Italian Marvin Vettori at a casino. His claim is, and this is just all theory, who knows if he was there or not. He says it wasn't me, bro. I saw that same video. There's some good-looking dude who looked like me. It must have been AI, right? Let's take a look at the madness from this first-person video right here. All right, assessing the scene, madness. Oh, shots fired. Okay, hold on. That was a fucking right hand from way over to the other side of the cage or whatever, the outdoor cage, but throws the right hand on him. And as you can see, madness ensues. And then they get broken up right here. Here's the AI generated Brendan Allen being clinched up right here. Not good for the grappling defense right there, but he landed some big shots, man. First, before anything else here, AJ, you would think, oh, these are trained fighters, right? Instincts all work the same across the board. You have a time-tested line that goes more or less along the lines of when that adrenaline starts flowing and you know what that right hand can do. Talk to him, brother. What do we see here?
Absolutely, Derek. Testosterone's going, adrenaline's flowing, and like we said before, man, this is the time to get to work. And in the great words of Chael Sonnen, you're in a self-defense situation. You can't let them get close to you. Brendan Allen jumped from like 10 feet away to be able to close that distance. We can see, man, he's got the style to get things done. I love the AI generated comment as well, man. You're going to be using that for probably centuries.
But like, talk to me. What are we seeing here, man? So listen, you can fight sanctioned for money, but he said, like, I'm down to scrap. That's the kind of guy that Brendan Allen is. I don't know what the beef was with Marvin Vettori, but to see this and to see that everybody has a camera out and it's just nonsense, and there he is. That's the AI generated Marvin Vettori, I suppose. But hold me back. That's all you get out here. My thing is, UFC or not, I love the I'm down to scrap. The thing that I don't love is in a situation like this with all of these people around, and I mean, listen, I don't even want to put the bad juju out there. You're asking to get stabbed. You're asking to get, like, jumped, smacked with something behind. Like, you know, this is just not a good look right here. Any validation here, or was this just pure entertainment from the degenerate fight fans like ourselves?
Oh, no, 100%. I'm with you, Derek. I long have been the days of calling out one-on-one to go show up to the park and you roll in, right? That's where the fight game should be. You got beef with somebody, man up, call them out, go get to what has to be done. But at this point, I'm with you, man. Your head needs to be on a swivel. Dangerous things can happen in a big crowd like this. Everybody's drunk. It's in a casino. Stay safe out there, folks. Be smart about how you actually get down with the get down, you know?
Live dangerous, but stay safe. You know what time it is. All right, AJ, moving on over. BSD, Benoit Saint Denis. He wants to beat Islam Makhachev and get a rematch with Dustin Poirier. He says that's the only way I get a shot is if I take a belt from Islam. Then I'll have some things that he hasn't. So maybe we will do a little bit of a back and forth. And just
the only way I get a shot at him again is to take the belt from Makhachev's waist, and then I will have some things that he hasn't. And maybe we will do it back and forth. Oh. But it's the only way I see me having the honor and privilege to fight him again. So
I love that. The honor, the privilege to fight the Diamond again. He says, I want a belt, but I only want the belt so I can go fight that guy again. You got to give respect right here. Lofty goals. Let's just aim for the belt. And how about we just kind of leave it at that? But what do you make of that?
It's interesting, yeah, Derek. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was thinking it's interesting because at the end of the day, the gold, right, the title, the acclaim, the fame is what you really want. Man, this guy is just going after the diamond. Like, that, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Diamond fan, right? I love Poirier, but that's an interesting way, like a roundabout way. Like, normally the comment would go is, in order to get to the belt, I need to beat Dustin. Right, that would be the normal train of thought. It's interesting to see how Benoit Saint Denis' priorities are a little different.
This is a special forces dude. He's like, I got bodies, bro. That belt is just a piece of metal. Who cares, man? I'm trying to catch bodies. He got me. I got to go get my lick back. Come on, I'm just saying. All right, shout out to BSD. All right. bad news. Sorry to be the breaker of bad news, but the featherweight division has been stalled up again. Movsar Evloev will not be fighting at UFC 307 after a replacement fight could not be found since Aljamain Sterling did have to pull out due to injury. So it's tough, man, because Evloev hardly fights these days, and it feels like you're just missing out on your shot just simply because, like, you know, you're not getting the fight. You need a big fight. He can't just fight anybody, right? You could pull the Diego Lopez, I guess, right? And now he's like, Diego, what's up? You want to come get that loss avenged or whatnot? And Diego's not having it. He says, I'm number 3 now, bro. Go kick rocks. What do we make of Evloev? Is he a guy who gets passed up at 145 pounds simply due to circumstance?
It seems like it, Derek. I mean, I know in life they say good things come to those who wait, but that is not the rule of MMA, man. You need to take the opportunity. You need to strike when the iron's hot. This was a rough one for Movsar Evloev, because you're right, Derek. I'm trying to think of the last time where Movsar was in the news, in the media, being that guy. It's been a couple of years, at least in recent memory.
Been never, bro. Nobody's ever really like been super hyped up for Evil. Like, he's like a killer, right? Like, we know objectively, like, this dude is really good, but I've never once in my life heard somebody be like, yo, Movsar Evloev fan club right here. Like, you don't see that, but we respect him as a fighter because we know this dude is dangerous and he beaten everybody, man. You know, beat him, and then we'll have something to talk about. But yeah, hopefully we get some fight news on him soon. Anything else on this one? Because I got some gruesome one for you next.
Let's see it, brother.
All right, so like warning to the faint of heart. AJ, first, this brings up a larger topic. This is the larger topic that I want to talk to you about really quickly. This is actually a good place to end. So let's not forget, right? Ronda Rousey, she was the pioneer who brought women's MMA into the fold, right? In terms of like the massive national spotlight to a degree, even though MMA is still a very niche sport. And you got a lot of people who are conventional, right? Conventional, traditional, old timers. And you can't disrespect people's beliefs because it's a belief. Like, you could choose to believe it or not. It is what it is. But a lot of people don't like to see women's MMA. Women's MMA is on, and the prelims, they skip it. They say that's the bathroom break and I'll come back after. I don't want to entertain it. I'm going to pretend it doesn't exist. I have been a massive advocate for women face punching for many, many years, because just like anybody else, man, pure violence, the ultimate equality that you can get. Some good old face punching, right? However, just because you're a woman doesn't mean that you are exempt to the brutalities of what this sport is. So you remember at UFC 306 against Norma Dumont, Irene Aldana, she got headbutted, unfortunately, and had like the nastiest cut that you could imagine. It was vicious. It was gruesome. It was gross, right? So this was all of that. You had all of that time, folks. If you're not out, then we warned you. But yeah, Aldana. So this was the cut after, right? Some are saying the most gruesome cut in UFC history. That's probably revisionist history right here. It's just long. It's just like a really long cut, right? So it literally goes from all the way to the top of your forehead, all the way down, and connects to the nose. 2 separate cuts, actually, but they connect because that's just the kind of fight that she was in. So first, right here, a lot of people aren't happy with this. This is terrible. Nobody wants to see it. Just objectively, I say it's the cost of doing business, man. That's the occupation you chose. It's face punching. It is what it is. So interesting to see that the healing process has begun here, AJ. So it went from that, and look at that. That's not as bad. That's a story to tell. But some are saying permanent disfigurement, right? They're taking it to the utter extremes. And I don't know if you know anybody who's gotten into a car accident, for an example, or just like a traumatic injury. You get scars. It happens. It is what it is. She seems content with her life choices. All I'm saying, this is a big, long, roundabout way of saying that I think that this is the cost of the game. And this is what women's MMA, this is what MMA is in general, women's or men's, it doesn't matter. I'm curious if you had to take, and do you think that this truly is the worst cut in UFC history?
Whew, the only one that I think is a little more worse than this, Derek, is and apologies because I forget the name, but the dude that lost or like had the ear basically ripped off.
Ramiz Brahimaj, yes.
Brahimaj, yes. When he caught that elbow and you see that ear bust and it's going, like that's a hard thing to attach as an ear. You can see, man, Irene Aldana looks beautiful as ever. Like, this is nothing, man. Like you said, this is the cost to play the game. Right. Folks, if you're not entertained by that, or you don't think like women should get into fights, go out, touch some grass, you see what real life is. Shit happens, right? This is the case. And look how happy she is, right? This is one of the things that makes me excited, because in the vast majority of the times, right, people think women are softer, are weaker, are the, not able to do this kind of stuff. Look how happy she is, right? They're more so in tune with this, be able to be that strong, dominant figure. Irene Aldana looks great and is a perfect example of taking one on the chin and rolling with it.
Like I said, perfect place for us to end right here. I couldn't have said it better myself. All right, folks. Well, On to another outro. UFC Paris, you gotta love it. Got a couple of fun UFC events coming up here shortly after, so stay locked in with the Bloody Water Podcast. We got you covered with picks, sleepers, props, bonus plays. Nothing but entertainment and value. You gotta love it. All right, AJ, as always, you take us out of here, brother. Go ahead.
Folks, if you're still here, man, we got to say we love you. We got to say we appreciate you. We're growing like crazy. So you know what it is. Better tell your friend to tell a friend. Your favorite fight show is always going to be a very exciting fight this week, man. This is going to be a fun one. Make sure you tune in.
All right, that's it for us. Catch us on Friday next week, and we'll see you next time. Peace, folks. That's it for us.